Hi, I'm Winter, and what the f*** is this? I can't stand all this garbage! This computer? I'd be sitting down in a chair to use this. Hell no! I want to do everything on the move so I can maximize efficiency. I'm ditching everything that I can't use outside of my own home. This f***ing rocks. I have everything I need to survive out here. My phone, which is dead, and a Game Boy Color, which I can't see. F*** yeah. Look at this. This f***ing blows. I don't want to have to sit down in a chair to play video games. I have a strict policy to only play video games standing up, and unfortunately, that's pretty hard when controllers tend to have these cords keeping them stuck to the console. If only there was some way to play a video game with the entire console in my hands. Holy f***. Portable gaming. This is the main way a lot of kids my age grew up with gaming. I mean, why would parents spend $600 on a glorified Blu-ray player when they can just invest $100 into the significantly cheaper option that will do the same job? Portable gaming started... okay, who cares where it started? Nobody cares about the Microvision. We all know portable gaming really started with Nintendo's Game & Watch systems. The story goes that Gunpei Yokoi, known to be a legend in the handheld industry until he unfortunately passed away in 1997, saw a bored businessman playing with an LCD calculator on a train. This gave him the idea of a portable LCD game system that doubled as a watch. This led to the creation of the Game & Watch family and systems, the first of which released in April of 1980, simply titled Ball. This game is incredibly simple, obviously, but the Game & Watch games kept on coming out and proved that while they would obviously be simpler, there was definitely a market for portable games, even alongside the far more popular arcade games at the time. Gunpei Yokoi wasn't done yet, though. In 1989, the Game Boy was released to the public, and this thing is a brick. Unfortunately, I don't own the original Game Boy anymore, but I did have one growing up, and I remember always being intimidated by the sheer size of the thing. The Game Boy had countless incredible games. It had both Super Mario Land games, it introduced Kirby, and hell, the thing launched with Tetris, which was a huge contributing factor to its enormous success. I am not talking about Pokemon again. The Game Boy's biggest issue was the lack of a backlit screen. However, that same lack of a backlit screen is most likely the reason batteries in the thing just never die. Seriously, the battery life of the original Game Boy is incredibly impressive. This thing can last upwards of 10 hours on a few AA's. Compare that to the Sega Game Gear, which... Jesus Christ, 5 hours on 6 AA batteries. That is ridiculous. Yeah, Sega released their own competitor to the Game Boy in 1990, but this thing just isn't good. It has a full-color backlit screen, which is pretty far ahead of its time. However, this came at the cost of the game supporting the battery life movement we still have to put up with today. That's on top of the Game Gear's library just not having anywhere near the same quality as the Game Boy. If you're going to play a Game Gear game, it's going to be Sonic 1 or Sonic 2. There's next to no reason to play anything else released for the thing. Meanwhile, Nintendo was just releasing revision after revision of the Game Boy, the most major of which was the Game Boy Color. The screen still doesn't have a backlight, which sucks ass, but the Color was not only able to display games with more than 2 colors at a time, but also able to run slightly more intensive games. There were a few games released exclusively for the Game Boy Color though, not a ton. Games like Shantae and Pokemon Crystal that were developed later in the Game Boy's life cycle could only run on the thing. Meanwhile, there were some games that had differences depending on if you were playing on the Game Boy or the Color. Sega decided to try again later with the Sega Nomad, a portable version of the Genesis that played the same cartridges, but we're all still alive, so we all know how that went. Only 1 million units sold. This thing is considered a commercial failure. A few generations later, Nintendo was pretty much all alone in the portable gaming market. They released the Game Boy Advance, still just refusing to put a backlight in the thing. This is fine. Until 2003 with the release of the Game Boy Advance SP, a folding version of the same console that had a backlight. This f***ing rocks. The Game Boy Advance is a weird one. Most of the major first-party games on the console are reminiscent of games from the SNES, like Mario Kart Super Circuit is obviously based strongly on Super Mario Kart. The only Mario games released on the things were remakes of NES and SNES games. I mean, there are obviously some original games, Pokemon's 3rd Generation, for example, or Metroid Fusion, but overall, the Game Boy Advance relied heavily on older consoles games to satisfy consumer demand. Sega tried to release Sonic 1 on the thing, and it is widely considered the worst port of the game to this day. Now, I'm not saying that Sega didn't release some good Sonic games on the thing. I'm just saying that they have to give up on porting Sonic 1 to a portable console eventually. In 2004, Nintendo moved on to the Nintendo DS. 2 screens meant twice the bullshit, and Nintendo knew exactly how to sell people on it. The first game released for the thing, available day one, was a port of Super Mario 64, featuring 30 extra stars and 3 more playable characters than Luigi, Wario, and Yoshi. This obviously drummed up a ton of hype for the thing, and yeah, this is by far the most successful portable console ever. Seriously, over 154 million units sold. Multiple revisions, including the DS Lite and the DSi, which added a ton of features to the console. The DS also has tons of great games on it. 2 generations of Pokemon, all sorts of Mario games, tons of great RPGs, including the superior version of Chrono Trigger. This was for all intents and purposes the future of portable gaming. Sony saw that and said, I can do that.
No, you can't.
The PSP, or PlayStation Portable, is a weird mess of a console. It has connectivity with the PS2 and PS3, but it doesn't have the best library in the world. I mean, its library isn't bad by any means. It has Grand Theft Auto, Star Wars Battlefront 2, you know, the things you'd expect on a near equivalent to the PS2. The issue was just the lack of charm with the thing, in my opinion at least. There's just something way more charming about the Nintendo DS. If I look at these side by side, I'm going to choose the DS anytime, not only because the library is superior, but there's just something so much better feeling about the DS. The PSP overall wasn't necessarily a commercial failure, but it wasn't as big a success as I think Sony was hoping for either, at 80 million units sold. Next up is the Nintendo 3DS in 2011, and like the original DS before it, this thing is just so damn charming. So why did Nintendo let this thing fail? The 3DS's launch was rough. A ton of developers who supported the 3DS before its launch ended up pulling out and not releasing any games, leading to not only the first-party offerings, but the third-party offerings as well being incredibly disappointing. However, over time, the 3DS really started to pick up speed. We got, once again, 2 whole Pokemon generations on the thing, a full original 3D Mario game as well as a new 2D one, a sequel to Luigi's Mansion, incredible Virtual Console offerings, and still not any really great third-party support. In the end, Nintendo just started porting Wii U games to the 3DS before finally calling it quits a few years ago. Overall, the 3DS and all of its many revisions sold around 75 million units. Nowhere near as successful as the original DS, but given how rough the launch of the system was, that's still pretty damn impressive. Off, Sony. The PS Vita is basically the definition of missed potential. The thing was at least on par with the PS2 and the PS3 when it came to some lower end games, and had built-in 3G for some reason. There were a ton of PS3 and PS4 games that were available on the console, and it also supported remote play with the PS4. However, Sony just did not try hard enough with the thing. The diversity in its library was nothing special. There were a lot of JRPGs and visual novels. The only game I can actually ever remember playing on this thing is Rayman Legends. Only an estimated 15 million units were sold before Sony formally stopped distributing physical games and hardware for the console in 2019, with no apparent plans to make any future portable consoles. So it's all down to Nintendo now. In 2017, they released the Nintendo Switch, a hybrid home and portable console. The battery life is pretty pitiful, but the library on this thing is incredible. So many games you'd never expect to be capable of running on a portable console like The Witcher 3. Nintendo released an exclusively portable version called the Nintendo Switch Lite a few years in, and yeah, this is a really slick design. It's also really cheap compared to what you'd expect. I've considered buying one myself on multiple occasions before realizing that that would just be a stupid investment. They've also announced the OLED model, which is a version that can still be docked but enhances the experience when you play portably. This was definitely announced at a bad time, but if you primarily play portably but still want the option to play at home, this definitely isn't the worst choice to pick up. And that brings us to now. Nintendo has very much cemented themselves as the leader in the portable gaming market. They've stomped out any competition that's come their way, and nobody seems willing to even try and compete anymore. Not really. You know, I don't pay a lot of attention to gaming news, but this Steam Deck sounds really neat. It's basically a portable PC, and while I think the price is a bit ridiculous to consider it rivaling the Switch, I definitely think that with some tweaks to this garbage-looking controller, it could, at least functionally, very easily rival the Switch. And that's all I have to say on that. I am fucking freezing, but at least I have Pokemon on Game Boy Color to keep me company. Fucking fine, I'll go back inside. This isn't actually that bad. You know, I think I've realized something. Video games really aren't about efficiency. They're about providing a distraction. Even portable gaming is just an excuse for parents to keep their kids calm in the car or on a plane. And I've come to terms with that. But I will never fucking come to terms with the Sega Nomad. Get that away from me.